Harper Locke burst through the revolving doors of the restaurant with her pulse pounding in her ears, a cold November wind still clinging to her scrubs as she hurried inside. Of course she was late. Of course traffic had been awful. Of course she had spilled coffee on her jacket exactly 3 minutes before leaving the hospital. Tonight had all the makings of a disaster, and she wasn't even at the table yet. Her blind date, set up by a coworker who insisted Harper needed to touch grass, or at least touch another woman, was supposedly waiting somewhere in this dimly lit, ridiculously fancy place. Harper's anxiety spiked as she scanned the room. Last thing she wanted was to walk table to table asking, "Are you Melissa?" like an unhinged, sleep-deprived gremlin. Then she saw her. A stunning woman sat alone near the back, dark hair cascading like silk waves over her shoulders, eyes reflecting candlelight with an intensity that made Harper's breath hitch. She held a glass of red wine with elegant, deliberate movements, like every gesture had centuries of practice behind it. She looked ethereal, dangerous, magnetic, way too gorgeous to be stood up on a blind date. Harper didn't think. She moved. Her body simply walked toward the table, as if pulled by invisible threads. "Hi. I'm so sorry I'm late," she blurted as she slid into the seat across from the woman. "Traffic was hell, the hospital was chaos, and then some guy projectile vomited on my shoes, but anyway, hi. I'm Harper." The woman lifted her eyes slowly, deliberately, like a queen indulging an interruption rather than reacting to it. She studied Harper with an unreadable expression, amusement, curiosity, maybe even hunger, but she didn't correct her. Didn't say she wasn't Melissa. Didn't send her away. Instead, she set her wineglass down with a soft clink. "Harper," she repeated, her voice smooth as velvet and unsettling in ways Harper couldn't name. What a pleasant surprise. Harper's stomach did something stupid and fluttery. "Wow, you're really pretty," she said before her brain could strangle the words. The woman's lips curved into the faintest hint of a smile, though her eyes stayed sharp and assessing. "Thank you. And you had an eventful day, it seems." "Oh, you have no idea," Harper sighed, suddenly aware of her messy bun, her hospital badge still clipped to her shirt, her exhaustion seeping through every pore. "Honestly, I wasn't even sure I should come. I'm running on 4 hours of sleep and pure caffeine fumes." "Yet here you are," the woman murmured, leaning forward, her gaze locked onto Harper like she was something rare, precious, irresistible. Harper felt heat spread down her spine, unfamiliar and overwhelming. "Yeah, well, commitment, right? Blind date duty," Harper joked weakly. The woman tilted her head, as though weighing her next words carefully. "Tell me, Harper, what exactly were you expecting to find tonight?" Harper blinked. Awkward conversation? Forced laughter? Maybe a second date, if we don't both hate each other?" A low, soft laugh escaped the woman, unexpectedly warm. "Fascinating." "I'm sorry," Harper said, rubbing the back of her neck. "I'm rambling, aren't I? I tend to ramble. Especially when someone looks like they walked out of a gothic perfume commercial." The woman laughed again, quiet, elegant, undeniably delighted. But beneath that delight was something else. Something ancient. Inspecting. Claiming. "I'm Lysandra," she finally said, offering her name like a velvet-wrapped dagger. "But you may call me LYSS." Harper smiled wide, relieved. "LYSS. I like that. See? We're off to a good start." But LYSS wasn't listening to her words anymore. She was inhaling, subtle, controlled, like she was scenting the air. And Harper's scent hit her like a thunderclap. Rare. Impossible. Ancient. A scent that should not exist in this era. One that belonged to the legends of the Undershadow, to the oldest of vampire archives, to the prophecy of the Vinculata. A soul-bound match. A companion fated once every 1,000 years. And she was sitting right in front of her, smiling nervously, cheeks flushed, heartbeat fluttering like a trapped bird. Harper Locke. Human. Unaware. And impossibly hers. LYSS's jaw tightened for the first time in decades. She had lived 8 centuries without a single thing surprising her until tonight. Harper wasn't just interesting. She was destiny carved into flesh. And destiny had just accidentally sat at her table. Harper twirled the edge of her napkin, oblivious. So, Melissa didn't tell me much about you. Or, well, anything. LYSS's smile sharpened. Oh, she wouldn't have. Is she running late? Harper asked. LYSS's eyes glimmered with dark amusement. Very. Harper leaned back, exhaling. Great. So she's a flake. Something like that. LYSS drummed her fingers on the table once, an elegant, ancient gesture of decision. Harper, before we continue, I must ask you something important. Shoot. Do you truly wish to be here? Harper blinked at the sudden seriousness. Yeah. I think I do. LYSS's eyes darkened, something electric sparking between them, something Harper didn't understand but felt down to her bones. Then, I will not let you leave disappointed. Harper's breath caught. Before she could respond, the waiter approached. Would you like another glass of wine, Dr. Nix? Harper froze. Dr. Nix? You're a doctor? In a manner of speaking, LYSS replied smoothly. Harper smiled. That's hot. LYSS's composure faltered, just barely. Only an immortal with perfect control would have noticed. Then, from across the room, a man entered, sharp suit, colder presence, eyes gleaming with something predatory. He froze the moment his gaze found Harper, then flicked toward LYSS. Recognition, shock, and greed. LYSS's smile vanished. She whispered so softly Harper barely heard it. Oh no, not tonight. And for the first time in centuries, Dr. Lysandra Nix felt fear. Not for herself, but for the human woman who had just become the most valuable soul on the eastern seaboard. Harper barely had time to process the way LYSS's expression transformed. One moment composed and amused, the next sharpened with a predator's focus, before the vampire rose smoothly from her seat and stepped around the table. We're leaving, LYSS murmured, voice low, velvet wrapped over steel. Harper blinked. Wait, what? Did I say something wrong? LYSS didn't answer. Her hand closed around Harper's wrist, cool, firm, startlingly gentle, and the contact sent a jolt of electricity ripping through Harper's nerves. Harper's breath stuttered. No one had ever touched her like that, like they had the right to guide her without taking anything from her. LYSS, what's going on? Harper whispered as LYSS ushered her toward the back exit with a grace that made her dizzy. LYSS didn't turn around. I'll explain later. For now, trust me. Harper wanted to argue, wanted to ask why they were leaving, why LYSS looked like she was walking her away from a burning building, why everything inside her body screamed that something huge had shifted, but she didn't. Something about LYSS made trusting her feel like instinct, like breathing. They pushed through the alley door behind the restaurant, the cold night air swallowing them whole. Harper wrapped her arms around herself. Okay, can I at least get a hint? Are you in trouble? Not me, LYSS murmured. You. Harper laughed because she didn't know what else to do. Me? I'm a nurse, LYSS. The most danger I face is a patient throwing a blood pressure cuff at me. LYSS turned to her then, really turned, and the intensity in her dark eyes rooted Harper in place. Harper. Something followed you into that restaurant. Harper's heart thudded. Something? Yes. Can you be a little more specific? Harper asked with a shaky laugh. You're starting to sound like a horror movie. LYSS stepped closer, her presence overwhelming in the narrow alley, her gaze fixed on Harper's like she was memorizing every detail. I'm trying not to frighten you. You're doing a terrible job, Harper whispered, breath catching. LYSS's lips curved in a tense imitation of a smile. Noted. And then, before Harper could say another word, a shadow peeled itself from the darkness behind the dumpster. Harper didn't notice it at first, too busy staring at LYSS, trying to understand the way the woman looked ready to kill and die in the same breath. But LYSS noticed. She noticed instantly. Her head snapped to the side, eyes glowing with a faint, unnatural shimmer. Harper followed her gaze and froze. A man stepped forward, but he didn't move like a man. His body unfurled from the shadows like liquid ink, long and wrong, his smile stretching too wide, revealing teeth that made Harper's stomach tighten. Dr. Nix, the creature purred, voice rippling like oil. You found her first. Harper's blood ran cold. LYSS, what is that? LYSS bristled, sliding in front of Harper like a shield. A mistake if it thinks it can touch her. The creature laughed, head tilting at an unnatural angle. The vinculata has no idea what she is. Humans rarely do. But she smells divine. Harper's voice trembled. LYSS. Why is he talking like that? What's a vincula? Whatever he said. What's happening? The creature lunged. Harper didn't even have time to scream. 1 second the shadow man was in front of them, the next he was in the air, claws outstretched, teeth bared. But LYSS moved faster. Much faster. In a blur of motion Harper couldn't track, LYSS grabbed Harper by the waist and spun her behind her just as the creature struck. The impact cracked the brick wall instead of Harper's skull, shards exploding onto the pavement. Harper stumbled backward. What the? LYSS, what are you? Stay behind me. LYSS said, voice lower, darker, vibrating with something not human. The creature hissed, licking blood from its damaged fingertips. You're faster than the rumors say, Nix. But she is marked. You can't keep her. Watch me. LYSS growled. The alley temperature dropped. The shadows trembled. And for the first time Harper saw it. LYSS's pupils expanded until her eyes turned almost black, her canines lengthening. Not subtly, not humanly, but like a predator revealing its true nature. Harper's heart stuttered in her chest. LYSS. LYSS didn't look back at her. Close your eyes, Harper. Why, now? The command was soft. Lethal. And Harper obeyed, without thinking. The moment her eyes shut, the alley erupted with sound. Snarls, cracks, impossible speed, the sickening thud of bodies hitting stone. Harper pressed her hands to her ears, shaking. Was this real? Was she hallucinating from exhaustion? Had she actually walked into a supernatural nightmare on her night off? Then silence. Harper lowered her hands, trembling. LYSS. She cracked one eye open. LYSS stood over the creature's collapsed body, breathing hard, eyes still glowing faintly. She looked wild, terrifying, beautiful, otherworldly. Harper's knees nearly buckled. LYSS, she whispered. What are you? LYSS didn't answer. She stepped toward Harper slowly, carefully, as if approaching a frightened animal. Harper, she murmured, reaching out to gently brush a stray lock of hair from her cheek. I'm not going to hurt you. You just threw a man into a wall, Harper whispered. He wasn't a man, LYSS said. And he was going to do far worse to you. Harper swallowed hard. LYSS, what am I? LYSS drew in a slow breath, pain flickering across her immortal face. You are mine. That's not an answer. No, LYSS murmured, voice trembling despite centuries of composure. It's the only answer that matters right now. And the only one that will keep you alive. Someone else screamed in the street beyond the alley. More creatures sensed Harper's presence. LYSS looked toward the sound, jaw tightening. They've found you. Then she grabbed Harper's hand again, cold fingers wrapping around warm skin. Run. Harper didn't think, she just ran. Her hand remained locked in LYSS's as they tore out of the alley and into the street, the cold night air slicing into her lungs while her mind struggled to catch up. None of this made sense. Shadows that moved like living things. A creature with inhuman teeth. Love what you've seen so far and want to help me keep creating these awesome stories on this channel? Then subscribe and hit the bell. Your subscription supports the channel and makes sure you get more exciting stories. LYSS throwing something across a wall as if gravity didn't apply to her. And the way her eyes had glowed, dark and endless, hungry and terrifying and gorgeous all at once. Cars blurred around them as LYSS dragged Harper across the crosswalk with impossible speed, weaving through traffic like She knew exactly how everyone would move before they did. "LYSS, slow down, please," Harper gasped, stumbling as her legs screamed in protest. LYSS immediately tightened her grip, pulling Harper flush against her side for a brief moment to steady her. "Forgive me," she murmured, her voice both apologetic and urgent. "I forget how fragile humans are." Harper stared at her, breath freezing in her throat. "Humans." LYSS grimaced, "just barely, but enough. Later. Keep moving." They ducked into an underground parking garage, LYSS leading with sharp, deliberate steps. Harper tried to keep up, clutching her side as exhaustion and adrenaline warred inside her. "LYSS, she said breathlessly. "I'm a nurse. I know shock when I'm in it. And I'm in it. So, unless the next sentence you say is a hallucination explanation, I'm going to start screaming." LYSS glanced over her shoulder, her dark eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. "Not here." "Then when?" Harper shot back. "When I'm dead. When one of those things bites my head off." "Because apparently that's a thing now." A soft growl rumbled from LYSS, not directed at Harper, but at everything around them. "Harper, you're safe." "You keep saying that," Harper snapped, "but your definition of safe seems very different from mine." LYSS stopped so abruptly that Harper nearly collided with her. They stood in the shadowed corner of the garage, only half lit by a flickering light overhead. LYSS stepped closer, her face inches from Harper's, her voice dropping to a low, calm whisper that thrummed through Harper's bones. "Harper, I swear on my immortal life that I will not let anything harm you." Harper froze. Immortal? Immortal wasn't a slip of the tongue. Immortal wasn't a word people said casually. LYSS watched her carefully, the way a person watches glass about to shatter. You didn't just say that," Harper breathed. "I did," LYSS murmured. "And you needed to hear it." Harper stared at her, heart hammering. "LYSS, what are you?" LYSS closed her eyes, inhaling slowly as though bracing herself. "Get in the car," she said softly. "I'll tell you everything once we're somewhere safe." Harper hesitated. "Do I even have a choice?" LYSS's expression softened with something dangerously close to pain. "You always have a choice. Always. But I would prefer you chose life tonight." The car was beautiful, an old black Bentley with a sleek shape that made Harper wonder which museum LYSS had stolen it from. LYSS opened the passenger door with a faint bow that would have felt ridiculous coming from anyone else. Harper slid in, still shaking. When LYSS took the wheel, her hands were steady. Too steady. As if she had centuries of practice handling crisis. The moment the doors shut, the outside noise cut off, soundproofed, insulated, unnervingly quiet. Harper swallowed hard. Okay. No running. No monsters. No distractions. Talk. LYSS didn't start the engine. She simply rested her hands on the steering wheel and turned to Harper fully, her eyes still glowing in the dark cabin. "Harper, I am not human." Harper let out a breathy, half-hysterical laugh. "Yeah, I picked up on that somewhere between the wall smashing and the glowing eyes." LYSS nodded once, accepting the sarcasm like it was a lifeline. "I am a vampire." Silence. Deep, suffocating silence. Harper stared at her for 3 whole seconds before whispering, "That is not funny." "It wasn't meant to be," LYSS replied. Harper pressed her palms to her face. Okay. You're serious. You're seriously saying you're a vampire. Like blood drinking.
Fangs.
No reflection. Dracula. Some of those stereotypes are offensive, LYSS murmured. Harper choked. LYSS. What the hell? I know, LYSS said softly. It's a lot. Harper dropped her hands and stared at LYSS, eyes wide. Prove it. LYSS didn't hesitate. She leaned forward, letting the dashboard light hit her face. Her canines extended, not subtly, not like prosthetics, but long and gleaming, predatory, and sharp enough to pierce bone. Harper's breath vanished. Then LYSS inhaled slowly, and the faint glow returned to her eyes, swirling like storm clouds swallowing a moon. Harper pressed back into the seat. Okay, she whispered. Okay, you're a vampire. You're a real vampire. This is real. Yes. And that thing in the alley? A lesser creature who thought he could claim you. Harper's pulse slammed against her ribs. Claim me?
Why?
I'm just a nurse. I don't have anything anyone wants. Lys's expression softened. Too much. Too intensely. You're wrong, she whispered. Harper, you have no idea what you are. Harper shook her head, confused and terrified. Lys, please. Just tell me. Lys exhaled slowly, her voice almost breaking. If I tell you the truth now, you will never look at me the same way again. Harper flinched at the raw vulnerability in her tone. Lys looked away, staring at the windshield as though the night itself judged her. But I owe you honesty, she whispered. Especially now. Harper leaned forward, heart pounding. Lys.
Tell me.
Lys's hand twitched toward her, as though wanting to touch her but afraid to. Harper, you are a vinculata. A soul bound to one of the oldest vampires in existence. You were born marked for one of us. Born for me. Harper felt the world tilt. What do you mean, born for you? Lys finally looked at her. Really looked. Her voice was barely a breath. It means that whether you accept it or not, your soul has been calling to mine for centuries. A chill ran down Harper's spine. Lys, that sounds like fate. Or a curse. It's both, Lys whispered. And tonight it bound itself to you the moment you sat at my table. Harper stared at her, trembling. But I didn't mean to. Lys's expression fractured. Pain, longing, desperation flickering all at once. I know, she whispered. And that is why everything is already spiraling out of control. Harper stared at Lys, her chest rising and falling in small, frantic breaths, as if the air around her had thickened into something impossible to inhale. The interior of the car felt too narrow, too intimate, too heavy with truth. The word vinculata echoed in her skull like a bell struck too hard. Born for me, her soul calling to mine. None of it made sense, and yet something in her chest responded. Something deep, ancient, irrational, and terrifying. Something that felt like recognition. She shook her head violently, forcing the sensation away.
No. No, no, no.
Fate isn't real. Soulmates aren't real. Vampire destiny definitely isn't real. I'm just me. I'm normal. Lys's expression softened with a sorrow that made Harper feel suddenly exposed. Harper, nothing about you has ever been normal. Don't say it like that, Harper snapped, voice cracking. Like you've known me forever. I have, Lys whispered. Harper froze. We haven't met before. Not in this life, Lys murmured, and the ache in her voice was too heavy, too sincere, too devastating to dismiss. Harper slammed her palms against the dashboard, the panic bubbling through her veins like acid.
No.
Absolutely not. I didn't ask for this. I didn't choose this.
I don't even know you.
Lys bowed her head slightly, eyes flickering downward as though taking the blow without resistance. I know. Harper blinked, thrown off by the lack of argument. That's it? You're not going to force this bond thing. Lys's next breath was careful, measured like a dangerous truth. I would never force you. Harper let out a shaky laugh. Then why does it feel like everything is forcing me? Why did that thing say I was marked? Why did it want me? Because vinculatas are powerful, Lys said quietly. Precious. Coveted. And so rare that some would kill entire bloodlines for a single drop of their blood. Harper's stomach twisted. Blood, she whispered. Of course this comes back to blood. You're a vampire. Lys winced, and Harper almost felt guilty. Almost. Do you drink human blood? She whispered. Lys hesitated. And that was her answer. Harper recoiled into the seat, heart hammering. Oh my God. Harper, Lys murmured, leaning in. I have never and would never drink from the unwilling. I am not a monster. You threw a demon thing into a wall. He would have killed you. Harper pressed a trembling hand to her forehead. Okay, but I still don't get it. What is this bond supposed to do? Turn me immortal? Make me your property? Lys's jaw tightened, sharp enough to cut. You are not property. He said I was yours, Harper whispered. He said it like it was a fact. He said it like you were an object, Lys corrected, voice suddenly low and furious. And I will kill anyone who sees you that way. Harper's breath caught at the intensity in her tone. It was too much, too protective, too possessive, too intimate for someone she'd met an hour ago. Lys, this is insane. I can't be destined for someone. I can't be bound to you. I barely know how you take your coffee. I don't drink coffee, Lys murmured. Harper threw her hands up. Exactly. Lys almost smiled, but the sadness returned too quickly. Harper, the bond doesn't force love. Harper went still. Then what does it force? Lys looked at her directly. Every word deliberate. Connection. Recognition. A pull you cannot ignore, not because it commands you, but because it mirrors what your soul has always sought. Harper swallowed hard. I don't feel anything. Lys tilted her head just the slightest bit. Then why are you shaking? Harper opened her mouth, then closed it just as quickly. Her hands were trembling. Her chest was tight. Her pulse thundered every time Lys looked at her. That's adrenaline, Harper insisted. Fear. Fear of me? Lys asked softly. Harper hesitated. No. The single syllable hung between them like a live wire. Lys turned the key in the ignition, the engine humming to life with a low purr that vibrated through Harper's bones. We need to go, Lys said, voice soft but edged with urgency. Others are hunting you. The scent of a newborn vinculata spreads quickly, and I will not risk losing you. Losing me? Harper repeated. You don't have me. Lys's hands tightened around the wheel. I know, she whispered, sounding like the admission physically hurt her. And yet if anything happened to you tonight, Harper, it would be my end. Harper's breath caught. Lys, I will take you somewhere safe. Somewhere only I can enter. Somewhere the others cannot follow. Harper folded her arms, trying to summon some sense of control. Where, exactly? My home. Harper blinked. Your home? Yes. Your vampire home. Correct. Does it have coffins? Lys actually laughed a soft, disbelieving sound. Harper, I sleep on a bed. A very comfortable one. Harper blushed immediately, and Lys seemed to regret the phrasing. She cleared her throat. I meant normal quarters. Right, Harper muttered. Totally normal. Just a vampire loft. Penthouse, Lys corrected. Harper gaped. You live in a penthouse? I've had several centuries to invest wisely, Lys deadpanned. Before Harper could respond, the car glided out of the garage and into the city streets, the world outside a blur of neon and shadow. Harper pressed her forehead to the cool window glass, trying to steady her breath as Lys drove with calm precision. Finally, Harper whispered, Lys, what happens if I reject this bond? Lys didn't answer at first. She kept her eyes on the road, the city lights glinting off her flawless profile. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft, fragile, aching. Then I spend the rest of my eternity trying not to look for you. Harper closed her eyes. And for the first time that night, she felt a flicker, not fear, not destiny, something else entirely. Something warm. Something dangerous. Something she absolutely wasn't ready to name. The drive to Lys's penthouse felt like a fever dream. Harper's heartbeat was too loud, her breathing too shallow, her thoughts ricocheting wildly between panic, disbelief, and a heat she refused to name. Lys remained terrifyingly calm behind the wheel, hands steady, posture perfect, gaze forward as if she were guiding them through a battlefield instead of downtown traffic. Harper kept sneaking glances at her elegant profile, the soft glow of her eyes, the faint tension in her jaw that didn't match her composed exterior. Harper didn't want to ask, but She couldn't stop herself. Are they still following us? LYSS didn't blink. Yes. Harper stiffened. And you're this calm? I am accustomed to being hunted, LYSS said simply. Something cold slid down Harper's spine. That's horrifying. It is survival. Harper swallowed hard. So you've been alive for how long? 832 years, LYSS answered gently. Harper almost choked on air. LYSS, we can discuss my age later. Yeah, no kidding. The Bentley turned into an underground entrance guarded by black steel gates that opened on their own. Harper didn't know whether it was magic, technology, or something in between. LYSS parked in a reserved private section, empty, spotless, eerily quiet. When she finally cut the engine, the silence felt suffocating. Harper didn't move. LYSS did. She turned to Harper slowly, her expression softer than it had been all night. You're trembling, she murmured. Harper scowled, even though she absolutely was trembling. I can't imagine why. LYSS hesitated, then reached out, incredibly gently, and brushed her fingertips across the back of Harper's hand. The trembling stopped immediately, replaced by something hotter, heavier, impossibly magnetic. Harper yanked her hand away. Don't do that. Do what? LYSS asked quietly. That whatever it is. That thing where I can't breathe when you touch me. LYSS looked pained. The bond amplifies the connection. I'm sorry if it makes you uncomfortable. It doesn't make me uncomfortable, Harper blurted before she could stop herself. It makes me... She stopped, face heating. LYSS waited. Patient.
Still.
Dangerous. Harper shook her head. Nothing. Forget it. LYSS didn't press.
Come.
It's safer upstairs. The elevator ride was claustrophobic. Harper stood rigidly in the corner while LYSS kept her distance, though Harper could feel her presence in every inch of the small space, like gravity bending toward her. When the elevator opened, Harper stepped out first and immediately stopped. The penthouse was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed a sweeping panorama of the city. The living room was dimly lit with warm lamps, decorated with antique furniture that somehow blended seamlessly with modern design. Shelves lined the walls, filled with books, relics, vials of old inks, maps, strange glass bottles sealed with wax. There were paintings, too, portraits of women through the centuries. One woman appeared in all of them. LYSS. Harper's breath caught. You really are 800. 832. LYSS corrected softly as she locked the door with several heavy, clicking mechanisms. Harper walked deeper into the penthouse without meaning to. Everything felt ancient and strange and intoxicating, like stepping into a museum that belonged to the same person over dozens of lifetimes. This is surreal, Harper murmured. LYSS approached cautiously, as if approaching a wild animal. You are safe here. You keep saying that, Harper said, turning to face her. But I don't feel safe. I feel like my entire life just exploded. LYSS nodded once, solemn. It did. Harper ran both hands through her hair, pacing. Okay, so vampires exist. You're one. I'm apparently some supernatural soulmate who glows to your kind like a giant neon eat me sign. Not eat, LYSS corrected immediately, stepping closer.
Cherish. Protect.
Bond with. Harper ignored the warmth crawling up her neck. You know what I mean. LYSS exhaled slowly. Harper, may I show you something? Depends, Harper said skeptically. Is it more fangs? No. Is it going to freak me out? Possibly, LYSS admitted. But I believe it will help you understand. Harper hesitated, but curiosity tugged at her.
Fine.
Show me. LYSS extended her hand, palm up, fingers relaxed, offering instead of demanding. Harper stared at it. Touching LYSS felt dangerous. Addictive. But she placed her hand in LYSS's anyway. The moment their skin connected, Harper's breath hitched. Heat surged through her chest, her pulse stuttered, her legs almost buckled. LYSS visibly fought the effects too, her jaw tightening as though resisting something powerful. The bond is awakening, LYSS whispered. This is only the beginning. What's happening? Harper whispered, her voice shaking. We're connected now. Your emotions echo through mine. Your heartbeat calls to me, and mine calls to you. Stop, Harper whispered, but she didn't pull away. She couldn't. LYSS slowly lifted Harper's wrist, her cold fingertips trailing lightly over the inside of her arm, leaving a trail of fire behind. Do you feel that? Yes, Harper breathed, trembling. That is the bond responding. It's instinct and choice. Harper's knees weakened. LYSS stepped closer, her voice low, reverent. I want you to understand this connection, not to fear it. Harper swallowed hard. Then why does it feel like I can't think when you look at me like that? LYSS's gaze dropped to Harper's lips. Because I feel the same. Harper's heart flipped violently. LYSS leaned in, not touching, not claiming, just close enough for Harper to feel the cold brush of her breath against her cheek. Harper felt herself leaning forward too, instinct taking control, drawn to the impossible magnetism between them. Their lips were inches apart. 1 heartbeat.
2.
LYSS whispered. Harper's breath shook. Don't stop. LYSS froze. Completely, utterly froze. Harper opened her eyes. LYSS was staring behind her, toward the penthouse windows. Her expression turned lethal. Harper, LYSS whispered, pulling her close, wrapping an arm firmly around her waist, moving her away from the windows. We're not alone. Harper stiffened. What? A shadow moved outside the glass, wrong. Elongated, hungry. Harper's heart plummeted. LYSS bared her fangs, her voice a deadly whisper. Stay behind me. Harper's pulse hammered as LYSS pulled her away from the window, the vampire's cold arm wrapping firmly around her waist with a possessive instinct that made Harper simultaneously terrified and electric with heat. The shadow outside slinked along the glass like smoke searching for cracks, its form wavering between human and something far worse. LYSS positioned herself between Harper and the threat, her posture shifting into something feral, shoulders squared, jaw set, fangs glinting in the dim light. Harper clung to the edge of LYSS's sleeve without realizing it. LYSS, what is that? An opportunist, LYSS growled. Another one who thinks he can claim what is not his. Harper swallowed hard. They keep saying that.
Claim. Mine. Destined. Bound.
Why? Because they can smell your rarity from miles away, LYSS murmured, eyes still fixed on the creature outside. And because they think I'm not strong enough to keep you. Harper bristled. That's ridiculous. You literally threw a monster into a wall. LYSS didn't laugh. Not this time. There are older monsters than that. And they've noticed you now. Harper's stomach twisted, but beneath the fear there was something else. Anger. I don't want anyone else touching me, she blurted. LYSS froze.
Not at the threat.
At Harper's words. Slowly, she looked down at Harper, her eyes darkening with something molten and ancient. Harper, she whispered, voice shaking in a way Harper had never heard before. Do not say things like that unless you understand what they mean. Maybe I do, Harper whispered back, her fingers tightening on LYSS's sleeve. LYSS looked like she might unravel, centuries of composure cracking all at once. But then the creature outside slammed hard against the glass, the building trembled, and Harper yelped as LYSS grabbed her by the waist and moved impossibly fast, placing Harper behind the marble pillar not far from the foyer. Stay here, LYSS commanded, voice low, reverberating like a storm. Harper shook her head, grabbing LYSS's hand.
No.
I'm not hiding while you fight alone. LYSS's eyes blazed. Harper, you do not understand what's out there. Then show me, Harper whispered. I can't be afraid of something I don't understand. LYSS hesitated, just for a heartbeat, but it was enough for the shadow to strike again. A crack formed in the glass, spiderwebbing outward. LYSS snarled, stepping forward, her entire body shifting into something lethal and otherworldly. Her movements sharpened, her pupils dilated into abysses, her fangs fully out. She looked like death incarnate, and beautiful beyond reason. The window shattered. The creature poured into the room like a cloud of living darkness, reshaping into a form with elongated limbs and gleaming teeth. Harper stumbled back, heart pounding. The creature lunged at LYSS, but LYSS moved faster. Faster than wind. Faster than lightning. Faster than anything Harper had ever witnessed. In a blur of shadow and silver eyes, LYSS struck the creature midair, sending them both crashing into the far wall. The impact shook the penthouse. Harper screamed, hands flying over her mouth, watching in horror as claws slashed, fangs collided, shadows writhed, and LYSS fought like someone who had battled every century she'd lived. Harper wasn't sure when she started moving. She only knew she couldn't stay behind the pillar. She couldn't watch LYSS fight alone. But the moment Harper stepped out, the creature sensed her. It twisted its head unnaturally, eyes gleaming with hunger, and lunged for Harper. No! LYSS's scream rattled Harper's bones. The vampire launched herself forward, slamming into the creature and tackling it before it reached Harper. They rolled across the floor, crashing into furniture, glass, ancient artifacts. Harper's breath hitched painfully. LYSS fought with desperation now, raw, violent, uncontained. Not for survival. For Harper. For her. The creature hissed, thrashing, but LYSS pinned it by the throat with one hand, her strength monstrous. With the other, she plunged her claws, actual claws Harper hadn't seen before, into its chest. It shrieked, dissolving into smoke and vanishing in a burst of darkness. Silence fell. LYSS slumped briefly on one knee, panting, her hair loose and wild around her face, her chest rising and falling like she'd burned through an entire century's worth of energy. Harper's legs moved before her mind did. She ran to LYSS, dropping to her knees in front of her. LYSS, are you hurt? LYSS lifted her head slowly, eyes glowing brighter than ever, fixed entirely on Harper. Harper, she breathed, voice barely a whisper. You could have died. So could you. Harper shot back, tears stinging her eyes. I didn't care. I couldn't let anything happen to you. LYSS reached up, cupping Harper's cheek with a cold, trembling hand. I told you, the bond is awakening. Harper leaned into her palm without thinking. I don't care about the bond, she whispered. I care about you. LYSS inhaled sharply, her control fracturing. Harper's heart pounded. LYSS, look at me. LYSS did, eyes dark, wild, desperate. Harper moved closer. Too close. And LYSS didn't stop her. You said you wouldn't force anything, Harper whispered. So let me choose. Choose what? LYSS breathed, barely holding herself together. Harper's lips brushed against LYSS's cheek, soft, trembling, deliberate. You. LYSS shuddered like the world had cracked open. Harper's fingers slid into LYSS's hair, pulling her closer, and LYSS let out a low, broken sound that Harper felt all the way down her spine. Harper, LYSS whispered again, this time not warning, not resisting, begging. Kiss me, Harper whispered. And LYSS did. The first touch of her lips was cold, shockingly cold, but the moment Harper exhaled against her, LYSS melted like she'd been waiting 800 years for warmth. LYSS kissed her with devastating tenderness at first, as if scared Harper might fade into smoke. Harper deepened the kiss, pulling LYSS closer, feeling the tremble in the vampire's hands as they slid around Harper's waist, drawing her onto her lap with centuries of hunger restrained by sheer will. LYSS kissed her like worship, like despair, like destiny. Harper's breath hitched as LYSS's lips moved with reverence down to the corner of her mouth, then back up again, claiming her with a heat that belied her cold skin. They pulled apart only when oxygen demanded it, foreheads pressed together, breathing each other in. Harper whispered, trembling, "LYSS, what does this mean?" LYSS brushed her thumb along Harper's jaw, voice soft as moonlight. "It means," she whispered, "that fate may have brought you to me, but you just chose me back." LYSS didn't let go of Harper for a long time. Even after their lips separated, even after their breathing steadied, even after the creature's ashes finished disappearing into the air, LYSS kept Harper cradled in her lap on the cold marble floor, her forehead against Harper's temple as if making sure she was real, alive, here. Harper wasn't sure how many minutes passed. She only knew she felt warm, warm in LYSS's arms, warm in her own chest, warm in a way that felt too big and terrifying to fit inside her. Finally, Harper whispered, "LYSS, are you okay?" LYSS didn't answer at first. Her grip tightened, not possessive this time, fearful. "I almost lost you," she said, voice raw, scraped open. Harper's breath caught. "But you didn't." LYSS pulled back just enough to look at her, eyes swirling with shadows and silver. "I should have sent you away. I should have never let you near me." Harper frowned. "LYSS, I'm not going anywhere." "You don't understand," LYSS said, her voice cracking, centuries of composure shattering in a heartbeat. This bond, makes you a target for every creature who wants power, blood, immortality. And her voice stopped abruptly, as if choking on something she refused to say. Harper cupped LYSS's cheek gently. "And you what?" LYSS closed her eyes. "I am no longer thinking clearly around you." Harper blinked. "That sounds like a you problem." LYSS opened her eyes, startled, then huffed a short, incredulous laugh. "Only you would make jokes at a time like this." Harper brushed her thumb over LYSS's cheek. "I'm not joking." LYSS swallowed hard, visibly shaken. "Harper, I have survived wars, witch hunts, purges, betrayals, centuries of solitude. I have never allowed anyone to be a weakness." Harper's voice softened. "And I am." LYSS's answer came in a whisper that felt like a confession ripped straight from her soul. "You are the first thing that could destroy me." Harper's chest squeezed. "LYSS, the bond has begun forming," LYSS continued, struggling to hold herself together. "I can feel your pulse in my veins. Your fear, your longing, your warmth. You kissed me and my entire being, every century of it, responded." Harper felt heat flood her cheeks. "I felt it too." LYSS exhaled shakily, closing her eyes as if even the memory of the kiss overwhelmed her. "If you stay with me, Harper, you will never be invisible again. You will never be safe again. And I will never be able to live with myself if something happens to you." Harper shook her head. "You can't decide that for me." "I must," LYSS insisted. "You don't know the world you stepped into." "Then show me," Harper said fiercely. "Teach me. Don't push me away." LYSS stared at her, torn between desire and terror. Harper, whatever she was about to say died when the air shifted, cold and wrong. A pulse of pressure swept through the penthouse, like the atmosphere itself dipped in temperature. LYSS stiffened instantly. "No," she whispered. "Not now." Harper stood, heart racing. "What is it?" LYSS rose slowly, moving Harper behind her with gentle but unyielding strength. "The council," she murmured. "The oldest of my kind." Harper's stomach dropped. "They know I'm here?" "They know you exist," LYSS said, voice tense. "And that is enough." A sharp crack echoed through the room.
Not the window this time. The air.
Reality itself. A fissure of cold light split open near the far end of the penthouse, swirling into a doorway of shadows. Harper gasped. 3 figures stepped through.
Tall. Cloaked.
Radiating age, so immense Harper felt it in her bones. Their eyes glowed with ancient hunger and judgment. LYSS moved in front of Harper like a shield, her expression shifting from fear to fury. "Leave." The central figure smiled, a vicious, knowing smile. "Lysandra Nix," he purred. "You broke the oldest law." "The law is outdated," LYSS hissed. The vinculata belongs to the council, another figure said, voice crackling like brittle leaves. Harper felt the words like ice down her spine. LYSS bared her fangs.
She is not
Yours. The central figure tilted his head. Then hand her over. Now. Harper stepped back, heart in her throat. LYSS didn't move. You will not touch her. You forget your place, the figure said. We made you. We can unmake you. LYSS snarled, shadows swirling around her feet like living smoke. Try. Harper grabbed LYSS's arm. LYSS, you can't fight them. LYSS turned her head just enough for Harper to see the fire in her eyes. Watch me. The council members raised their hands, and LYSS launched herself forward in a blur of silver and shadow, striking with inhuman speed. But the central figure didn't flinch. With a flick of his wrist, LYSS was thrown backward by invisible force, slamming into the marble pillar with a sickening crack. LYSS. Harper screamed, running toward her. LYSS tried to rise, failed, blood trickling from her lip, eyes dimming with pain she hadn't felt in centuries. The central figure approached Harper with a slow, predatory stride. The vinculata belongs to us, he said again. Harper backed away, trembling. Please, please don't. She is wasted on the likes of Nyx, he murmured. We will put you to better use. Something in Harper snapped. Not fear. Something hotter, wilder. A pulse of heat exploded in her chest, like fire, like lightning, like destiny igniting. LYSS's eyes widened from across the room. Harper, no, don't, too late. The central figure reached for her, and Harper's body reacted without her permission. A burst of energy surged outward from her palms, slamming into the ancient vampire with a force that sent him flying across the room, crashing into his own companions. Harper gasped, staring at her shaking, glowing hands. What did I just? LYSS stared at her in awe and terror. The bond, she whispered weakly. It's accelerating. You're awakening powers you shouldn't have yet. Harper turned, breath trembling. LYSS, what do I do? LYSS forced herself upright, eyes burning with renewed fury. Stay behind me, and do not let them touch you. But the central figure was already rising, eyes blazing with fury. You insolent child, he hissed. You dare strike an ancient. LYSS stepped in front of Harper, fangs out, ready to fight even if it killed her. Harper, she whispered without looking back, voice trembling. If this goes badly, remember what I told you. LYSS, you chose me. And Harper realized with a jolt of terror and love that LYSS was preparing to die to protect her. LYSS stood in front of Harper like a broken shield made of rage and devotion, her body trembling not from fear but from the force of keeping herself upright. Harper could see it. LYSS was hurt, more hurt than she wanted to admit. And the council knew it. The central ancient rose from the shattered marble floor with a snarl that felt older than the language Harper spoke. His cloak unfurled around him like smoke, eyes blazing with predatory fury as he wiped the streak of blood from his lips. You have forgotten your place, Lysandra Nyx, he hissed, voice vibrating through the penthouse like a storm contained in a single throat. We made you immortal. We shaped you. And now you betray us for a human girl? LYSS bared her fangs. She is no ordinary human. Harper felt heat rush to her cheeks despite the terror. Can we not discuss my humanity classification while they're trying to murder me? LYSS threw a glance over her shoulder, sharp, fierce, unbearably soft. Stay behind me. I don't think that's working anymore, Harper whispered, staring at her glowing hands. I don't know what I just did. Your body responded to the bond, LYSS said, stepping forward as the council closed in. Your soul defended itself. My soul has powers? Why didn't you tell me that before tonight? Because they weren't supposed to manifest yet. LYSS snapped, sounding both terrified and furious. It takes months, even years, for the bond to awaken anything. But you... She cut herself off, eyes widening slightly. Harper frowned. Me what? LYSS didn't answer. Not now, not with 3 ancients approaching, shadows flickering like serpents at their feet. The central ancient sneered. Enough. Hand her over now, or watch your lineage end. LYSS stepped forward, her voice turning into thunder. You'll not touch her. Then die for her. The first ancient lunged. LYSS moved faster, spinning with preternatural grace, striking the vampire in the chest. The force sent him flying backward into a glass cabinet that shattered into a rain of shards. Harper gasped, LYSS. But the second ancient was already in motion, appearing behind LYSS in a blur of shadow. Harper didn't think. Her body moved on instinct again. A pulse of golden energy exploded from her hands, slamming into the second ancient and hurling him across the room. LYSS turned, eyes widening at Harper. Harper, your powers. I don't know how I'm doing this, Harper yelled, her voice cracking. I don't even know what it is. The central ancient lunged again. LYSS intercepted him, their bodies clashing with supernatural force. He hissed, grabbing her by the throat, lifting her off the ground with crushing strength. You are one of our finest, he snarled. A cold, disciplined warrior. And now look at you, weak.
Soft.
Ruined by affection. Harper's heart dropped. Put her down. The ancient ignored her. 8 centuries of power wasted. Harper's vision blurred with rage. Something inside her snapped like a wire pulled too tight. She screamed, and the world responded. A wave of heat roared outward from Harper's chest, invisible but violent, like the air itself turned into a blast of raw force. The ancient holding LYSS was thrown across the room, crashing into the marble fireplace so hard the stone cracked. LYSS collapsed to her knees, gasping. Harper ran to her. LYSS, are you okay? LYSS lifted her head slowly, eyes bright and wide with something Harper had never seen in her before.
Awe.
Harper, she whispered, voice shaken. Your power. What power? I don't even know what I'm doing. Harper cried, her hand shaking. I'm a nurse. My most impressive skill set until today was putting in IVs while sleep-deprived. LYSS tried to stand but winced, holding her ribs. Harper steadied her, slipping an arm around her waist. LYSS inhaled sharply, not from pain this time, but from the warmth of Harper's touch. You shouldn't be using abilities this strong, LYSS murmured. The bond isn't fully formed. Your body isn't ready. It could burn you out. I don't care, Harper said fiercely. I'm not letting them take you. LYSS stared at her like she was witnessing a miracle. You choose me again. Of course I do, Harper said, breath shaking. I'm not leaving you alone in this. The third ancient rose from the pile of broken antiques, his eyes now glowing red. Enough of this foolishness, he growled. The girl is ours. Harper, LYSS whispered urgently. We need to move. We can't win a full fight. Not like this. Then what do we do? We escape. The central ancient's voice echoed like a curse. You cannot run from us forever. LYSS's jaw tightened. Watch me. She grabbed Harper around the waist, one arm under her knees, the other supporting her back, and jumped. Literally jumped. The world blurred as LYSS leapt straight through the penthouse skylight. Glass shattered around them like falling stars. Cold night air roared against Harper's face as LYSS landed on the rooftop terrace 3 floors up, holding Harper tightly, protectively, desperately. Are you okay? LYSS asked breathlessly. No, Harper yelled. You just jumped through the ceiling. Good, LYSS said. Means you're conscious. Behind them, the air split open again, the council stepping through another rift. LYSS cursed under her breath, gripping Harper's hand. We need to leave now. Where? Somewhere they can't follow. Somewhere ancient. Somewhere protected. Harper's heart thundered. LYSS, what happens if they catch me? LYSS's voice turned low and dark. They will bind you to them, force you into obedience. Use your blood to rewrite the oldest laws. Harper's stomach twisted. And what happens if I stay with you? LYSS looked at her. Not as a vampire, not as a predator, but as someone who had been alone for too long and suddenly found something worth dying for. If you stay with me, LYSS whispered, I will fight the whole world for you. Harper squeezed her hand. Then let's run. LYSS nodded, then lifted Harper into her arms again, holding her like she was the most precious thing she'd ever carried. The air behind them cracked as the council closed in. Harper buried her face against LYSS's neck. LYSS whispered, hold on to me. And then the night swallowed them as LYSS leapt off the building and into the darkness, running not as a monster, but as a woman fleeing with the person she would burn eternity for. The world became a blur of wind, shadows, and gravity-defying leaps as LYSS carried Harper through the night, her speed unnatural, her grip unbreakable. Harper clung desperately to her, burying her face against the cold curve of LYSS's neck to block the dizzying rush of air. She could feel LYSS's heartbeat, slow, steady, ancient, and the sensation anchored her in a way nothing else could. After minutes that felt like lifetimes, LYSS finally slowed, her steps becoming measured again, her breaths deep and controlled. Harper lifted her head and blinked. They stood at the edge of the city in front of an immense stone archway half buried by twisted vines and crumbling statues. It looked abandoned, forgotten, except the air around it pulsed faintly with something ancient. Something alive. Harper's voice was barely a whisper. Where are we? LYSS adjusted her hold on Harper gently before setting her down with care, as if worried she might break. A sanctuary, she murmured. One of the last relics of the old blood. Harper looked around nervously. This place looks like it was built before America existed. It was, LYSS said softly. Harper shivered. Is it safe? It will be. LYSS stepped forward, pressing her palm against the stone archway. The carvings on the stone glowed faintly, then the air shivered, rippling like water, revealing a hidden passage descending into dim blue light. Harper's jaw dropped. That's wow. Okay. LYSS extended her hand. Come. Harper took it without hesitation. They stepped inside together. The sanctuary was vast, carved entirely from smooth, bluish stone that glowed gently under veins of embedded crystals. It looked like a cathedral abandoned by time, silent, sacred, untouched by dust or decay. Harper exhaled softly. LYSS, this is beautiful. LYSS didn't smile. I never wanted to bring anyone here again. Harper turned to her. Again? LYSS walked forward, her steps echoing gently. This was the place where I completed my first bond 8 centuries ago. Harper felt a chill. You were bonded before? LYSS stopped walking. Her shoulders tensed, as if the memory itself was a wound. Yes. Harper swallowed. What happened to them? LYSS closed her eyes. She died. Harper's chest ached. LYSS, I'm so sorry. She was taken by the very council we fled tonight, LYSS murmured. They wanted her power. They wanted control. I fought for her, bled for her, begged for her, and failed. Harper moved closer. It wasn't your fault. It was, LYSS said, her voice low and filled with centuries of guilt. I was younger, reckless, and I thought love was enough to protect her. Harper's breath caught.
Love.
LYSS finally turned, her eyes shimmering with a depth Harper had never seen before. You asked earlier what the bond forces. It forces nothing, but it magnifies everything. It makes love feel eternal. It makes loss feel like death. Harper felt her heartbeat flutter painfully. And now, she whispered, what does the bond feel like now? LYSS looked at Harper then, really looked, her expression breaking open like a dawn after centuries of darkness. Terrifying, she whispered. Harper's breath hitched. Why? LYSS took one step forward. Because it's stronger than the first one ever was. Harper's chest tightened. LYSS, and because I do not know if I can survive losing you. LYSS said softly. Not again. Harper reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers slowly. You're not going to lose me. LYSS swallowed hard. You say that now. But you haven't seen what this bond will turn you into. Harper frowned. What it will turn me into? LYSS guided her gently toward a carved stone pool filled with shimmering water. Look. Harper leaned over it. Her reflection stared back at her. Wide eyes, messy hair, bruised lips from their kiss. But something was different. Her irises glowed faintly. Gold. Harper gasped. LYSS, what is this? The beginning, LYSS murmured, stepping behind her. Your soul is merging with mine, and power always leaves a mark. Will I become a vampire? Harper asked in a small voice. No, LYSS said. Not unless you choose that. But you will become more. More what? More powerful. More connected to me. More bound. Harper turned around. Is that a bad thing? LYSS's expression twisted, pain and longing warping her features. It could be for you. Once the bond completes, your life will stretch. Your aging will slow. You will feel what I feel. Need what I need. Harper stared at her. LYSS, do you not want that? For the first time, LYSS looked away. I want it more than anything, she whispered. And that terrifies me. Harper moved closer, her heart aching. LYSS, I'm scared too. But I'm not scared of you. I'm scared of losing you. LYSS froze. Harper, you keep pushing me away, Harper continued, her voice trembling. You keep acting like you're some monster who shouldn't love anyone. But everything you've done since the moment I sat at your table has been to protect me. LYSS shook her head. Not everything. I lied to you. I kept the bond secret. I should have told you the moment I realized what you were. And if you had, Harper whispered, stepping even closer, I might have run away. LYSS blinked. Harper's voice softened. But I didn't run. And I'm still not running. LYSS's breath caught. Why? Harper brushed her fingers against LYSS's cold cheek. Because when I look at you, my soul recognizes you too. LYSS's eyes widened, shocked, vulnerable, shaken. Harper. Harper rose on her toes, their lips inches apart. And because I don't regret kissing you. LYSS inhaled sharply, her control unraveling with visible force. Harper. Please. Please what? Harper whispered. Tell me what you're thinking. LYSS's voice broke. I'm thinking that if you kiss me again, I won't be able to stop. Harper's heart hammered. Good. LYSS let out a sound halfway between a gasp and a growl, and then her hands were on Harper's waist, pulling her close with a desperation centuries old. Harper kissed her again, deep, hungry, claiming, pulling LYSS down into her warmth, into her heartbeat, into everything LYSS had been denied for lifetimes. The kiss was different this time. Not the chaos of battle. Not adrenaline. This was slow, aching, reverent. Like LYSS was memorizing the shape of Harper's mouth, the curve of her breath, the taste of her humanity. Harper melted into her, fingers threading through LYSS's hair, drawing her closer, deeper, completely. When they finally pulled apart, both trembling, LYSS pressed her forehead to Harper's. Harper, she whispered, voice raw and shaking, I am falling for you, and it is going to destroy everything. Harper cupped her face gently, then let it. For a long moment after their kiss, there was no world, no counsel, no danger, no destiny. Only the electric press of Harper's heartbeat against LYSS's chest and the trembling exhale the vampire released, as if 8 centuries of solitude cracked open all at once. Harper lingered in that space, forehead against LYSS's, fingers brushing her cool jaw, memorizing the way LYSS's breath stuttered when Harper touched her like she mattered. Finally, Harper whispered, LYSS, tell me the rest. Tell me what happens if the bond completes. LYSS opened her eyes slowly, as if the question itself was a blade. Harper, once the bond seals, you'll become something in between worlds. In between?
Harper breathed.
LYSS nodded, stepping back just enough to see her clearly. Your lifespan will stretch into centuries. You will begin to feel my hunger, my senses, my instincts. You will sense danger before it arrives, feel emotion more intensely, heal faster. Your body will begin resisting illnesses. Time will soften around you. Harper swallowed. That doesn't sound bad. LYSS looked tortured. Because you don't understand the cost. Then tell me. LYSS exhaled shakily. If the bond completes and I die, you die with me. The world seemed to tilt. Harper froze. What? It is the nature of soul binding, LYSS whispered. Two souls sharing strength, but also sharing mortality. Harper's chest tightened. LYSS, you should have led with that before kissing me like that. LYSS looked pained. I didn't expect to kiss you at all. I fought it. I fought you. And I failed. Harper didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That makes two of us. LYSS ran a hand through her hair, pacing, her composure finally breaking. You don't understand. If the bond seals and the council kills me, which they fully intend to do, you will die. They will drag you into the ritual chamber and cut the bond from your soul. And that pain, she closed her eyes. It would end you. Harper stepped forward, grabbing LYSS's hands. Then we don't let them kill you. LYSS stared at her like she was sunlight, warm, impossible, something she had forgotten how to touch. You speak as if it's simple. It is, Harper said fiercely, because we fight. Together. LYSS opened her mouth, but the air shifted.
Sharp. Wrong.
Harper felt it first this time, like a shockwave rippling through her bones. The sanctuary lights flickered. Crystals embedded in the stone walls dimmed. LYSS's head snapped up. No, she whispered. Harper's pulse skyrocketed. LYSS. Someone has breached the outer seal. Someone, Harper asked. Or something. LYSS didn't answer. She grabbed Harper's wrist and pulled her behind a column of carved stone. Stay behind me. LYSS, I'm not hiding this time, Harper hissed. Not after what you just told me. Before LYSS could respond, the sanctuary doors exploded inward, stone shredding like paper. Harper gasped as 3 figures stepped out of the smoke. Not the council. Worse. Older. Women carved from shadow. Their skin gray as moonlight, eyes glowing like embers buried deep in ash. They moved soundlessly, like ghosts given body. LYSS stiffened. The oracles of the first blood, she breathed. Harper whispered, that sounds bad. It is. LYSS whispered back. They are older than the council. They belong to the bloodline that created the first vampires. The tallest oracle stepped forward, head tilting at the exact same unnatural angle as the creatures Harper had seen earlier. Lysandra Nix, she intoned. You have broken the sacred order. LYSS stepped forward, shielding Harper completely. The council sent you? No, the oracle said. We come of our own accord. The vinculata belongs to the first blood. Harper felt her stomach drop. I'm getting really tired of hearing that. Silence, mortal, the oracle hissed. Her voice carried the sound of crumbling stone and dying stars. LYSS snarled. Do not speak to her. The oracle turned her head toward LYSS. You would defy us as well? Gladly, LYSS said. Then you have chosen death. All 3 oracles raised their hands, and the air shattered with dark energy. LYSS moved instantly, grabbing Harper and pulling her into her arms just as bolts of shadow slammed into the floor where Harper had stood. Harper clung to LYSS's shoulders, feeling her heartbeat hammer against LYSS's cool chest. Put me down,
Harper yelled.
I can help. You don't know how yet. LYSS snapped, dodging another blast. Then teach me, Harper shouted back. Another shockwave hit, sending cracks across the sanctuary walls. LYSS ducked behind a pillar, every muscle coiled, every breath sharp and controlled. Harper, she said urgently, listen to me. You must try to channel energy again, like before. I don't know how. You do. You did it twice already. By accident. Instinct is the beginning of control, LYSS said, grabbing Harper's face between her cold hands, forcing her to look into her eyes. Focus on your heartbeat. On mine. Sync them. Harper trembled. I can't. You can, LYSS whispered. Because you chose me. Harper sucked in a breath, then closed her eyes. She reached inward, searching for the heat she'd felt before. And there it was. A glowing ember pulsing at the center of her chest. Waiting. Wanting. As the oracles approached, LYSS stood to face them. Fangs extended, eyes blazing with supernatural rage. You will not have her, LYSS growled. Harper felt the heat rise. The energy surged. She opened her eyes, and they glowed bright gold. LYSS, Harper whispered. Move. LYSS obeyed instantly. Harper stepped forward, hands raised, heart pounding in sync with LYSS's. A beam of golden light erupted from her palms, slamming into the nearest oracle with a thunderous crack. The creature screamed, an inhuman, ancient screech, and burst into dust. Harper staggered. Oh my God. I did that. LYSS stared, awestruck. Yes. The remaining oracles hissed, shadows writhing around them. The Vinculado awakens, one snarled. She must be harvested. Harper's blood ran cold. Harvested? Absolutely not. And she threw another burst of light, stronger this time. It hit one oracle square in the chest, blasting her across the chamber. The last oracle vanished and reappeared behind Harper in a blink, reaching for her throat. Harper. LYSS launched herself across the sanctuary, tackling the oracle away. They crashed into the stone altar, shattering it. LYSS fought like something ancient and enraged, claws slicing, fangs gleaming. Harper, shaking, raised her hands and aimed. Her power burst outward again, this time shaped like a shield, slamming into the oracle and holding her down long enough for LYSS to tear through her throat. Silence fell. Heavy. Final. The oracles dissolved into dust at LYSS's feet. Harper collapsed to her knees, breath heaving, her hands still glowing faintly. LYSS rushed to her at once, falling to her knees and grabbing Harper's face. Are you hurt? I don't think so, Harper whispered. LYSS, what did I just do? LYSS cupped her face, eyes glowing with awe and fear and something deeper. You fought beside me, like an equal. Harper laughed weakly. I've never been equal to anyone in my life. I'm a nurse. I deal with needles, not ancient blood gods. LYSS's voice softened dangerously. You are more than you know. Harper pressed her forehead to LYSS's. So teach me. LYSS closed her eyes, her breath trembling. I will. But Harper, now the First Blood knows you exist. Great, Harper muttered. More people who want to kill me. No, LYSS whispered.
Worse.
They want to use you. Harper frowned. Then they'll have to get through you. LYSS inhaled sharply, emotion cracking through her composed mask. They will try, and they will kill me if they can. Then I fight too, Harper said fiercely. Because I'm not letting them take you either. LYSS stared at her, eyes softening in a way Harper had only seen once, right before she'd kissed her. Harper, she whispered, brushing a thumb over Harper's lip. You have no idea what you mean to me. Then show me, Harper breathed. LYSS kissed her, soft, urgent, trembling, in the middle of the ancient sanctuary as dust settled around them, as power hummed under Harper's skin, as destiny coiled tighter around their souls. When LYSS pulled away, her voice was barely a whisper. We must leave before the council and the First Blood arrive together. Harper nodded. Where do we go? LYSS took her hand. Somewhere even older than this. Somewhere forbidden. Harper squeezed her hand. Lead the way. LYSS didn't stop moving until the sanctuary was far behind them, until the cold night gave way to something older than darkness itself. Harper felt the air change first, thickening, cooling, humming, like they were stepping into a place the world had tried to forget. LYSS carried her part of the way, then set her down gently at the entrance of a cavern hidden behind twisted roots and stone formations that pulsed faintly with an unnatural glow. Harper's breath caught in her throat. What is this place? LYSS didn't look at her at first. Her expression was tight, conflicted, almost tormented. The crypt of the first bond, she said finally, her voice so soft it almost cracked. The resting place of the earliest vinculatas. The birthplace of our oldest laws. And the last place I ever wanted to bring you. Harper swallowed hard. But you did. LYSS turned toward her, eyes dark and shimmering. Because it is the only place left where no one can follow. Not the council. Not the first blood. Not any creature of the undershadow. Harper glanced at the cavern mouth. It breathed. Literally breathed, like lungs exhaling cold mist. You're sure this is safe? Safe is a relative term, LYSS murmured. But here you are hidden from every soul except mine. Something warm tightened in Harper's chest. Then let's go. LYSS hesitated, an expression Harper had almost never seen on her. Fear. Harper, once we enter, the crypt will sense you. It will show you what you are. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Harper stepped close, placing her hand against LYSS's cheek. I'm not afraid. LYSS leaned into the touch for half a second before pulling away with visible effort. Then stay at my side, she whispered. No matter what you see. Harper nodded, though her pulse raced. They stepped into the crypt. Cold swallowed them first, a deep, unnatural cold that felt like it seeped into bone. The stone corridor opened into a massive hall glowing with soft violet and blue luminescence from crystals embedded in the walls. At the center of the chamber lay ancient coffins carved from obsidian, arranged in spirals like constellations. Harper felt a strange tug in her chest. LYSS is this, where the first vinculatas rest, LYSS said. Every one of these women was soul-bound to one of my kind. Harper moved carefully between the obsidian sarcophagi. What happened to them? LYSS's voice was heavy. Some lived long, powerful lives. Others died when their bonded vampire did. And a few were sacrificed. Harper stopped walking. Sacrificed. Centuries ago, LYSS said. In rituals meant to strengthen the leaders of the first blood. It is forbidden now. But forbidden does not mean forgotten. Harper felt sick. Is that why they want me? LYSS closed her eyes. Yes. Harper's chest tightened painfully. Then we fight harder. LYSS stepped forward suddenly, grabbing Harper's hands, her grip cold but desperate. Harper, you do not understand. Your power is unlike anything I have ever seen. You awakened too fast. Too intensely. There is something in you that should not be awakened yet. Harper frowned. What do you mean? LYSS's voice dropped lower. Harper, the bond between us is strong. Stronger than it should be for this stage. And your abilities, they are not typical of vinculatas. They resemble something else. Harper felt ice slide down her spine. Like what? LYSS lowered her head. Like the first vinculata. The original soulbound who started all prophecy. Harper let out a nervous laugh. I'm sorry, what? I'm the reincarnation of Vampire Jesus. LYSS didn't smile. Not even a flicker. I am not joking. Harper blinked. LYSS, that's insane. Is it? LYSS whispered. Your power has grown every hour. Your heartbeat pulses through my veins. Your emotions shake through my bones. Your soul has been calling to me stronger than any bond I've ever known. Harper's breath trembled. What does that even mean? It means, LYSS said slowly, that you may not just be a vinculata. You may be the vinculata. The one born once every 1,000 years. Harper stared at her. LYSS, that's impossible. Is it? LYSS murmured, brushing her cold fingers along Harper's jaw. You have changed the laws of fate since the moment you sat at that table. Harper opened her mouth to speak, but the crypt shuddered. A faint hum filled the air, vibrating the stone beneath their feet. LYSS stiffened instantly. It's waking. Harper swallowed. What is? The crypt, LYSS whispered. It senses your lineage. Harper's pulse hammered. What does that mean? The light in the crystals intensified. The obsidian coffins began glowing with faint purple lines, like veins pulsing with ancient power. And then, from the far end of the hall, an echo rose. A voice. A whisper. A woman's whisper. Harper spun. Did you hear that? LYSS grabbed her hand, her grip crushing. Harper, do not answer it. Harper blinked. Answer what? The voice grew louder, clearer, echoing through Harper's skull. Harper. Harper stumbled. LYSS, someone's talking to me. Do not listen, LYSS hissed, pulling her closer. It is an echo from the souls who died here. They sense you. They want to speak. But you must not let them in. Why not? Because you do not yet know how to protect your mind, LYSS said urgently. If you let them in, they can overwhelm you. They can take parts of you. They can break you. Harper tried to steady her breath, but the voice grew louder, spreading like warmth and static through her chest. Child of power, child of destiny. Harper gasped. LYSS, it's calling me by name. LYSS's eyes widened. Harper, look at me. Harper tried, but something pulled her gaze toward the far coffin. The oldest one. The largest. Veins of gold ran through its obsidian surface. Harper whispered, What's in there? LYSS stepped between Harper and the coffin. Nothing you ever need to see. But the lid began to glow. Light swirled inside the cracks. Harper's heart pounded in sync with it. Come to me, child of the waking bond. Harper stumbled forward. LYSS grabbed her shoulders, voice breaking. Harper, please stay with me. Fight it. The glow intensified. Harper's body shook. LYSS, I can't. LYSS pulled her close, cold hands gripping Harper's face, forcing her to meet her gaze. Harper Locke, she whispered fiercely. Look at me. Harper blinked. LYSS, stay with me. LYSS begged. Stay with me. Choose me. Harper's pulse synced with hers. The pull of the crypt weakened. The coffin's glow dimmed. Harper collapsed into LYSS's arms as the voice faded. LYSS held her like she was something breakable, pressing her lips to Harper's forehead. I've got you. Harper clutched her shirt weakly. LYSS, I think something is wrong with me. LYSS shook her head, holding Harper tighter.
No.
Something is awakening in you. Something powerful. Harper buried her face against LYSS's throat. Is that good or bad? LYSS exhaled shakily. Both. Harper didn't realize she was shaking until LYSS lifted her fully into her arms, holding her with a gentleness that contradicted everything about her immortal strength. The crypt hummed around them, like a heartbeat much older than hers, much older than LYSS's. Waiting, watching, sensing. LYSS carried her deeper into the chamber, her breath uneven, her grip firm but trembling faintly. Harper frowned weakly. LYSS, you're shaking. LYSS lowered her onto a stone bench carved with symbols that pulsed faintly beneath Harper's body. She didn't answer at first. Her jaw was clenched, her eyes unfocused for a moment too long. Harper reached for her hand. LYSS, what's wrong? LYSS finally exhaled, slow and heavy, like she was trying to keep herself from fracturing. The crypt drains the living. And it drains the undead stronger than most places. It feeds on the bond, on desire, on fear. It senses power. Yours. Mine. Harper's pulse kicked up. Is it hurting you? LYSS looked away. That was answer enough. Harper pulled her hand. LYSS. Tell me. LYSS finally met her eyes, and Harper's breath caught. LYSS looked pale. Not vampire pale. Weak pale. A grayness beneath her skin that Harper had never seen before. The crypt was built by the first bloodline to house the original soulbound, LYSS said quietly. Its wards are old, brutal, unforgiving. Harper's stomach twisted. LYSS, why would you bring me somewhere that hurts you? LYSS knelt in front of her. Because it is the one place in this world where they cannot take you from me. Harper's chest tightened painfully. LYSS, I don't want safety that destroys you. I will survive it, LYSS insisted, though the slight tremor in her fingers betrayed her. But you, if the council or the first blood had reached you while the crypt was whispering to you. Harper swallowed. It almost did reach me. LYSS's voice cracked. I know. Harper brushed her fingers across LYSS's face. How do you know? LYSS closed her eyes. Because when you called my name, I felt your fear. And when you screamed in your mind, I felt that too. Harper froze. You could feel me that clearly? LYSS nodded without opening her eyes. You're already inside my soul, Harper. And I'm inside yours. If the bond were to complete fully right now, she hesitated. Harper whispered. What would happen? LYSS opened her eyes again, and something unmasked flickered there. Something raw. You would feel everything I feel. Every wound. Every hunger. Every ache. Every weakness. Harper's voice softened. Do you think I can't handle you? LYSS flinched like the words hurt. You underestimate what I am.
Harper shook her head.
And you underestimate who I am. Before LYSS could respond, a sound stirred behind them, a low, grinding shift of ancient stone. Harper tensed. LYSS. LYSS rose instantly, positioning herself in front of Harper, protective instinct snapping back into place. Stay behind me. No, Harper said, gripping her wrist. Together. Light rippled across the far wall, illuminating a massive slab of stone covered in etchings. Not random symbols, writing. Old writing. Writing that pulsed with the same golden light that now lived in Harper's eyes. Harper stepped forward slowly. LYSS, what is this? LYSS's expression turned grim. A prophecy. Harper swallowed. About what? LYSS hesitated. Too long. Too carefully. Harper turned to her. LYSS. About what? LYSS's voice was barely a whisper. You. Harper stared at her, heart pounding. Read it. LYSS shook her head. Harper, no. Read it, Harper repeated. LYSS closed her eyes, then began translating. When the cycle turns and the stars align, the blood of the first bond shall rise again in mortal form. She will be light inside darkness, power inside fragility, truth inside shadow. She will awaken the sleeping line. She will bind the immortal heart. And her choice, LYSS's voice broke, will decide the fate of eternity. Harper's breath trembled. LYSS, that doesn't say anything bad. LYSS opened her eyes, and Harper stepped back. There was fear in them. Real fear. There is more, LYSS whispered. If she chooses the immortal, the bond will eclipse death itself. If she chooses freedom, the immortal will fall. Harper felt like the floor dropped out beneath her. Fall. LYSS's voice was barely audible. Die. Silence swallowed them. Harper blinked, throat tightening. So, if I choose you, we live. LYSS shook her head.
No.
If you choose me, the bond becomes eternal. Unbreakable. Not even death can sever it. Not mine. Not yours. Harper frowned. And that's bad. LYSS looked pained. For you?
Yes.
You will be bound to my existence completely. And if I don't choose you, Harper whispered. LYSS's jaw clenched. Her voice trembled. Then I die. The prophecy says the immortal will fall. The meaning is clear. Harper felt her world tilt violently. So, this is a choice between my freedom and your life. LYSS didn't answer. Harper stepped forward, voice shaking with anger and fear. LYSS, when were you going to tell me? LYSS flinched. When you were stronger. No, Harper said, tears burning. You were never going to tell me. You were going to push me away until I chose freedom without understanding the cost. You were going to sacrifice yourself. LYSS's voice was a whisper of agony. Harper, I cannot condemn you to eternity chained to someone like me. Harper's voice cracked. You don't get to make that choice alone. LYSS stepped back, pain twisting across her face. Harper, the bond is already accelerating. I am losing control. I am putting you in danger simply by wanting you. Harper shook her head fiercely. LYSS, listen to me. But LYSS staggered. Her knees buckled. Harper lunged, catching her before she hit the ground. LYSS slumped against her, her body cold, too cold and trembling. LYSS. LYSS, hey, stay with me. LYSS tried to speak but couldn't. Her eyes fluttered. The crypt's lights flickered. Harper felt panic surge through her veins like fire. LYSS, please. What's happening? LYSS's voice was barely a breath. The crypt drains immortals. I thought I could withstand it. Harper held her tighter. We have to get you out now. LYSS grabbed Harper's wrist weakly. No, if we leave, they will find us. You're not strong enough yet. I don't care, Harper cried. You're dying. LYSS pulled her closer, her forehead touching Harper's. If the bond were complete, Harper froze. Are you saying it would save you? LYSS didn't answer in words. Her shaking hand slid to Harper's throat, her thumb brushing the pulse there. Harper felt the meaning, felt the weight, felt the choice. LYSS whispered, voice raw with fear and longing and surrender. Harper, choose. Harper had never felt fear like this. Not when the council shattered through LYSS's penthouse, not when the first blood attacked the sanctuary, not even when the crypt tried to devour her mind. This fear was deeper, sharper, because it was the fear of losing someone she had only just begun to understand, someone whose existence had reshaped every beat of her heart. LYSS's body was heavy in her arms, her skin turning colder, paler, her breath shallow and fading. The crypt hummed louder, as if feeding on her weakness, pulling the last threads of strength from her. Harper held her tighter, her tears falling onto LYSS's cheeks. LYSS, stay with me. Stay with me. Please. LYSS tried to open her eyes. They fluttered weakly, like a dying flame fighting against the wind. You shouldn't cry, she whispered, voice barely a breath. Harper cupped her face. I'll cry as much as I want. You don't get to tell me not to cry while you're, her voice broke. LYSS lifted a trembling hand and touched Harper's cheek. Harper, if you complete the bond now, you lose your freedom, your humanity, your future. Harper grabbed her hand and held it to her heart. I don't care. You must, LYSS insisted, though her voice wavered with pain. I will not let you chain your life to mine out of fear. You deserve. Harper leaned forward, pressing her forehead to LYSS's. LYSS, listen to me. I am not choosing because of fear. I'm choosing because I want you. Because I choose you. Not destiny. Not prophecy. You. LYSS's breath hitched, shaking violently. Harper, you saved me again and again, Harper whispered. You fought for me. You ran with me. You faced death for me. So now it's my turn. The crypt pulsed as if reacting to her decision. LYSS shook her head. Harper, the bond, it is irreversible. Eternal. It will tie your soul to mine for as long as the stars burn. Harper's voice softened but stayed firm. Then let it. LYSS's control shattered. Her lips parted in a silent sob. Vampires rarely cried, but Harper felt something wet hit her hand. I don't want to doom you, LYSS whispered. Harper kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her cold lips. You're not dooming me, Harper breathed. You're giving me something I never had before. A choice. And I choose you. LYSS trembled. Then you must say the words. Harper blinked. Words. LYSS nodded faintly. Every bond completes with a vow. Harper swallowed. What vow? LYSS's voice softened into something reverent and ancient. Speak from your soul, and I will answer. Harper held her tighter, brushing her thumb across LYSS's freezing cheek. The crypt dimmed, the shadows deepening, the air vibrating with something old and waiting. Harper inhaled shakily. Then she whispered, Lysandra Nix, I choose you. I bind my soul to yours. I walk with you in shadow and in light. I stay with you in this life and whatever comes after. LYSS let out a trembling breath. Harper Locke, I accept your soul. I take your strength into mine. I protect you with my life and my eternity. The moment the words were spoken, the crypt reacted. Violently. The ground shook. The air fractured into golden ribbons of light. Harper gasped as heat surged through her chest, burning, overwhelming, electric, pouring into her veins like molten fire. LYSS arched in her arms, letting out a sound that was half gasp, half ancient growl, as shadows and silver light erupted from her body. Their chests glowed, Harper's gold, LYSS's silver, threads of light connecting them like living veins. Harper cried out as the energy consumed her, rewriting her, reshaping her, filling her with something impossibly vast. LYSS dug her fingers into Harper's waist, shaking violently as the bond completed, her eyes glowing with dual rings of silver and gold. Harper felt everything. LYSS's fear, LYSS's longing, LYSS's centuries of loneliness, LYSS's love. And LYSS felt everything inside Harper. Her determination, her stubbornness, her terror, her hope, her heart. Their souls collided, merged, became one. When the light finally dimmed, LYSS collapsed against Harper. But she was breathing deeply now, not weakly, strongly. The grayness in her skin was gone. Her body was warm, warm enough that Harper gasped. LYSS lifted her head slowly. Her eyes glowed with swirling gold and silver. Harper brushed her thumb over her lips. LYSS, are you? She didn't finish the sentence. LYSS kissed her. Hard.
Desperate.
Full of life. The kiss wasn't careful or controlled. It was raw, hungry, grateful, overflowing with emotion that had no place to go for centuries. Harper melted into her, gasping against her lips as warmth and cold collided perfectly. When they finally broke apart, both trembling, LYSS pressed her forehead to Harper's. You saved me, she whispered. You, my bonded, my heart. Harper swallowed. How do you feel? LYSS let out a soft laugh, shaky, wild, disbelieving.
Alive.
But the moment hung only briefly because the crypt lights flickered violently. LYSS's eyes widened. No, what? Harper asked. What's happening? LYSS pulled her to her feet. The bond's completion released power. Too much power. They felt it. Harper froze.
Who?
All of them, LYSS whispered. The Council. The First Blood. Every ancient creature that hunts the vinculata. The ground trembled. Cracks split the walls. The voice Harper heard earlier returned, louder, angrier. The chosen soul has awakened. Claim her. Harper gripped LYSS's hand. LYSS, what do we do? LYSS looked at her, fear and love burning equally in her eyes. We run. To where? LYSS pulled her close, voice trembling with urgency. To the only place left where prophecy cannot reach us. Where is that? LYSS's jaw tightened. Beyond the crypt. Beyond the living. The place where even immortals fear to go. Harper felt her pulse match LYSS's. Perfect synchronicity. Then take me. LYSS kissed her one last time. A promise, a prayer, a warning, then wrapped her arms around her. And together, they ran straight toward the darkness that even death avoided. Harper didn't know where LYSS was taking her, only that the air grew colder with every step and the ground beneath them felt less like stone and more like memory, soft, shifting, impossible to truly grasp. LYSS held her hand tightly, her movements urgent but controlled, her glowing silver and gold eyes fixed on something ahead that Harper couldn't yet see. The crypt behind them trembled, collapsing stone echoing through the cavern as if the entire place were waking up, reaching for them. Harper clung to LYSS's hand. LYSS, where are we going? LYSS didn't turn around, but her voice was steady. Too steady. Beyond the threshold. Okay, Harper said breathlessly. And what exactly is the threshold? The place between realms. Between life and death. Between shadow and eternity. Harper blinked. That sounds lethal. LYSS squeezed her hand. Only if you go alone. The corridor widened abruptly, revealing an archway carved out of shimmering black stone that reflected no light. Harper gasped. The air in front of the arch wasn't air. It looked like liquid darkness, swirling gently like ink in water. LYSS, Harper whispered. That looks like a void. It is, LYSS murmured. The veil of stillness. No creature can cross it unless bound by blood and soul. Harper swallowed. So we can. LYSS stepped closer, pulling Harper with her. We must. Harper hesitated. LYSS, what's waiting on the other side? LYSS finally turned to her, and the look on her face made Harper's breath catch. Fear. Not of the enemies hunting them. Not of prophecy. But of what she was about to say. Harper, she whispered, voice trembling. Before we cross, there is something you need to know. Harper nodded slowly. Okay. Tell me. LYSS lifted her hand, brushing a knuckle along Harper's cheek. The bond you completed saved my life. It anchored me. It healed me. But it also did something else. Harper's pulse spiked. What? LYSS met her gaze, her voice barely audible. It made my death your death. Harper felt her stomach drop. LYSS, listen. LYSS said, gripping both her hands now. If I am destroyed, you'll be destroyed as well. Your soul is woven into mine completely. I should have told you sooner, but... Harper cut her off. But nothing. I already chose this. LYSS shook her head, her voice breaking. You chose without knowing the full cost. And there is more, Harper. There is something I hid from you, not out of deception, but out of fear. Harper stepped closer. LYSS. Tell me. LYSS inhaled shakily. I am not just any ancient. I am tied to the first bloodline as well. Not by loyalty, by curse. Harper froze. Curse. The first blood created me, LYSS whispered. I was forged from their rituals, their shadows, their hunger, and the prophecy, the one about the chosen vinculata awakening. It wasn't just about you. Harper's voice trembled. What do you mean? LYSS's eyes softened, filled with centuries of sorrow. It was about the one she would awaken. The meaning sank in like ice water. Me, LYSS whispered. Harper, your bond with me didn't just save my life. It awakened the part of me that the first blood sealed away. The part they fear. Harper's breath caught. LYSS, what are you saying? LYSS's voice turned quiet, dark, devastating. I am the immortal of the eclipse. The one who, if awakened, can end the reign of every ancient creature, including the first blood themselves. Harper felt chills race down her spine. So, the council wants me to control you. And the first blood wants me to kill you. Yes, LYSS whispered. To them, you are the key, the weapon, the fate breaker. And your choice determines whether I rise or fall. Harper grabbed her face, forcing LYSS to look at her. LYSS, listen to me. I didn't bind myself to a prophecy. I bound myself to you. LYSS's breathing hitched. Harper, I don't care what destiny says. I don't care what ancient monsters want. You're not a weapon or a curse to me. Harper pressed her hand over LYSS's heart. You're the person I chose. LYSS closed her eyes, a shudder passing through her. You don't understand, she whispered. Crossing the veil will awaken me fully. Once we go through, there is no turning back. Harper stepped forward until her forehead touched LYSS's. Then I go with you. A sound echoed behind them, stone exploding as something massive forced its way through the failing crypt. LYSS grabbed Harper's waist, pulling her close. They're here. Harper whispered, then we run. The archway pulsed violently, the void swirling faster as if sensing their fear, their power, their bond. LYSS cupped Harper's cheek one last time. Once we go through, I won't be the same. Harper nodded. Neither will I. LYSS kissed her. Hard, urgent, desperate. A promise forged of fire and fate. Then, without waiting for another heartbeat, she pulled Harper into the darkness. The void swallowed them whole. Harper felt cold and heat collide, felt her soul stretch and twist, felt LYSS's presence wrap around her like armor, like shadow, like eternity itself. And then light. Blinding, silver and gold light. Harper gasped as they stumbled onto solid ground. The sky above them wasn't a sky. It was a swirling vortex of colors she couldn't name. The air tasted electric. The world felt wrong, and right at the same time. LYSS dropped to her knees, clutching her chest, glowing violently. Harper knelt beside her, terrified. LYSS, what's happening? LYSS looked up, eyes brighter than stars, brighter than lightning, brighter than death. Harper, she whispered, voice trembling between agonized and divine. I'm awakening. Harper grabbed her. Then I'm right here. I'm with you. And the last thing Harper saw before the ground split open in silver fire was an army of shadows gathering at the edge of the horizon, every ancient creature drawn across realms by the explosion of their bond, coming for them, coming for the final choice,
Coming for the end.
Harper hit the ground in a burst of silver light, her lungs seizing as the air of the in-between realms seared through her. The sky above twisted like molten auroras, streaks of violet and gold writhing across a horizon that wasn't a horizon at all. She pushed herself up on shaking arms, searching wildly for LYSS. She found her only a few feet away, collapsed to her knees, her body trembling violently, light pouring from her skin as if she were cracking open from the inside. LYSS. Harper crawled toward her, grabbing her shoulders. LYSS's head snapped up, eyes blazing with swirling rings of silver and gold that weren't just glowing, they were burning. Harper, she gasped, voice layered with something ancient, something divine. You shouldn't touch me. Not right now. Harper tightened her grip. Try and stop me. LYSS's body spasmed, shadows rippling off her in waves. I'm becoming what they feared, what they locked away, what I never wanted to be again. Harper cupped her face. You are still you. I'm not sure, LYSS whispered, her voice cracking with pain she had carried for centuries. The Eclipse Immortal is awakening. The part of me made to end worlds. If I lose control, Harper, I could destroy you. I could destroy everything. Harper leaned forward until their foreheads touched. Then don't lose control. Stay with me. Stay with us. LYSS choked on a breath, clinging to her like a lifeline. But then the ground shook. A sound like cracking bone tore through the air. Harper whipped around. Her blood turned to ice. The entire horizon was alive with movement. Figures poured in from every angle, shadow armies, monstrous shapes, the council robed in splitting darkness, the first blood shimmering like obsidian ghosts. All of them converging. All of them drawn by the surge of power LYSS and Harper unleashed. LYSS struggled to her feet, her fingers curling as power roared under her skin. Harper, get behind me. No, Harper said fiercely. We fight together. LYSS turned to her, eyes wide with fear and awe. Harper, if we fight, if I unleash this power, I don't know if I'll stay myself. Harper grabbed her face again. Then I'll bring you back. The armies reached the edge of the cracked silver ground, spreading into a semicircle of death. The central ancient stepped forward, his voice a venomous snarl. The immortal of the eclipse rises, once more. As foretold. The First Blood Oracle raised a ghost-pale hand, and the Vinculata original stands at her side. As feared. Harper Locke, the council leader said coldly, you must choose. Destroy her and live, or join her and fall. Harper laughed, or maybe she screamed. I already chose. A murmur shook the armies. LYSS grabbed her wrist, her voice panicked. Harper, don't. Harper stepped forward, pulling LYSS with her. I choose her. Again. Always. LYSS's breath froze. Harper, the first blood hissed. Then you condemn the mortal realm to ruin.
Harper shook her head. No.
I rewrite the prophecy here.
Now.
The leader of the council snarled. You cannot rewrite fate. Harper lifted her hand, and it glowed gold so bright it illuminated the entire realm. Watch me. A shockwave ripped from her palm, not outward, but upward. Pure gold light swirling into the sky. Harper's veins burned with power she didn't know she had. The bond thrummed inside her like a second heartbeat. LYSS stared at her, shaking. Harper, what are you doing? Harper squeezed her hand. What we were meant to do together. LYSS stepped closer, instinctively, like her soul was being pulled toward Harper. Harper, you're using prophecy magic. That is impossible. Harper locked eyes with her. So are we. The armies advanced. Thousands of footsteps. Endless shadows. A chorus of ancient hunger. Harper felt the power surge to her fingertips, but she could feel something else too. LYSS's fear. LYSS's love. LYSS's desperation not to hurt her. Harper turned, grabbing LYSS's face with both hands. Listen to me. You are not death. You are not the eclipse. You are not their prophecy. LYSS trembled, tears gathering in her glowing eyes. Then what am I? Harper pressed her lips to hers, a kiss fierce and grounding, a claim, a vow, a tether. When she pulled back, her voice shook with truth. You're mine. The bond ignited. Silver and gold spiraled from their chests, weaving together, forming a cyclone of light that wrapped around them. The armies halted, shielding their eyes, hissing in shock. Harper lifted her hand again, but this time LYSS lifted hers too, fingers interlacing with Harper's. Their joined palms glowed as one. And together they spoke, not a spell, not a prophecy, but the truth that had rewritten their fate since the night Harper sat at the wrong table. We choose each other. The realm exploded. A vortex erupted around them, golden and silver flames spiraling into a column that reached the fractured sky. The light swept outward like a shockwave, devouring shadows, dissolving monsters, shattering runes, breaking blood magic, unmaking every chain the ancients forged. The council screamed as their bodies turned to dust. The first blood crumbled into obsidian ash. The armies disintegrated like sand in a storm. The cracked ground healed beneath Harper's feet. The sky calmed. Silence. For the first time since the night they met, true silence. The light faded slowly, settling over them like warm fog. Harper looked down, her hands still glowing faintly. She turned to LYSS.
LYSS, alive. Warm.
Breathing. Eyes no longer swirling with chaotic divinity, but soft, silver gold embers. Human and immortal, and hers all at once. LYSS stared at her in disbelief. Harper, we survived. Harper laughed, tears spilling. Of course we did. LYSS cupped her cheek, her thumb brushing Harper's tears away. You rewrote destiny. No vinculata has ever done that. No vinculata ever had you, Harper whispered. LYSS let out a breathless laugh and pulled her into a kiss, deep, overwhelming, alive. Harper melted against her, fingers tangling in her hair as LYSS held her like she had waited centuries for this moment. When they finally pulled apart, LYSS pressed her forehead to Harper's. What happens now? Harper smiled, breath shaky. We go home. LYSS blinked, stunned. Home. Harper nodded. Together. LYSS closed her eyes, a tremor running through her. I never thought after all these centuries. Harper brushed her lips over hers again. You get forever now. And you get it with me. LYSS kissed her one more time, soft, reverent, full of wonder. When they stepped forward together, hand in hand, the realm opened before them, not into darkness, but into light. They walked through it as equals, as bonded souls, as fate breakers, as lovers, and destiny at last bowed to them.